Well, hello, Community Bible Church. Welcome to another edition of A Verse a Day, our online daily Bible study. I hope that you are having a good week here, a crazy week, I think, for all of us, but nevertheless, I hope that it's been good for you personally. And so we are going to get back. I took yesterday off, but we're going to get back into First John chapter 4 today. So First John 4:7, and you're really going to notice a switch here. Some of your translations might even have like a paragraph break or something like that, but you're going to notice kind of a switch in the topic for the next few days from where we were at. But I think you're really going to enjoy it because we're all talking about love and God's love and loving each other, and so it's an important message that we will be covering over the next several videos. And so let's go ahead now and read it. It says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. Whoever loves has been born of God and knows God." All right, so once again, beloved, he is continuing to talk to Christians here. So this is going to be applicable to Christians. If you are not a Christian, this is still true 100%, but it's not directly written to you until you do believe, which would be my prayer. So it says, "Let us love one another." All right, now, who's one another? That primarily is also speaking about fellow Christians, fellow believers there, because that is one another. That we're both in that beloved group here, and that is who we are ultimately, the primary love. Even Jesus said when he was on earth, he said, "You will know my disciples by their love for each other." And that should be the hallmark. It should not be a hallmark of what we're against or political allegiances or anything like that. Ultimately, the highest standard for Christians is that we ought to be people that love one another. And why is that? For love is from God. Love is from God. And so the only reason that we're able, number one, to love us, Romans tells us, is that we love him because he first loved us. And the only reason that we're able to love anybody else or be loved by anyone else is because that is from God, that God has given us that ability. It is part of who he is. Now, I want to make an important distinction because sometimes you'll hear we know the scripture that teaches that God is love, but love is not God, meaning that love is not the highest standard. God is the highest standard, and part of who he is love. But you will find people, kind of some new age type thought there, that says, well, love is the highest standard. As long as we love each other, it doesn't care, who we believe in or anything like that. That's not scriptural, but rather that love emanates from God. It started with God, but just part of who he is love. And whoever loves has been born of God and knows God, right? Which makes sense though, because if God is love, if love comes from God, then if you have been born from God, you should also have love. Just like if my child is, all my children currently have blonde hair, but I very much expect, because both Beth and I have brown or brunette hair, that all three of our boys are eventually going to grow darker hair. And we're starting to see that even with the older ones. Why? Because they are from Beth and I. That is who they are. There's no other people had a contributing factor in making them. So they're naturally going to be just a combination of their mother and father. For us, if we are children of God, if we are from God, then we ought to bear a resemblance to our Father, our spiritual Father. And so if God is love, then we ought to be loving as well. And I know for me, sometimes it's I'm just so thankful, and honestly, I'm kind of shocked about how God could love me, because I'm like, if he has seen my heart, if he's seen all those hidden actions that I do, and I think nobody's thinking or watching me, or those hidden thoughts that I have when I think that I'll never get caught, like God has seen all that, and he still loves me. I'm so thankful for that. We ought to resemble that as well in the other interactions. We ought to continue to love people even when they're unworthy, when they don't earn it, when they continue to stab us in the back or whatever. We can still love, we can still forgive. Why? Because we are from God, we are of God, and God is love. Love comes from God, and so love should come from us as well. And so that's what I have for you here today. We will continue on looking at verse 8 in our next video, but I want you to have a great Thursday afternoon. If you're anywhere in Hernando County, you are, as always, welcome to community groups here on Thursday nights, and I just hope that